The moment everything went dark, I thought I'd lost a multi-million-dollar contract. But it wasn't a system failure, it was my HOA president with pruning shears. For minutes later, I had the local police station running on a federal emergency network, and my neighborhood was about to learn what real connection means. Started like any other Tuesday, quiet, focused, productive. My home office hummed with the steady rhythm of servers and the faint tapping of my keyboard. The kind of background noise that told me everything was fine. Then, in one breath, that rhythm flatlined. The monitors blinked once and went black. The air conditioning stuttered, the router lights died, and for the first time in years, my house went completely silent. I froze, hands hovering over the keyboard. Every minute offline meant thousands of dollars lost. And this project, a live data transfer for a defense client, couldn't wait. I pushed from my chair and sprinted to the server rack. Dead. No hum, no blinking LEDs. My stomach dropped. Not today, I muttered, flipping breakers and power switches. Nothing. Outside, the neighborhood looked normal. Sprinklers running, sun shining, kids riding bikes. But inside, everything had stopped. Something bigger than a power surge had cut my connection. And I didn't know it yet, but someone in this neighborhood had just declared war. I grabbed my phone, no signal. Great. I tethered through data and tried checking the network logs. Timeout. Then my neighbor, Tom, texted me. You down too? Whole street's dead. That's when it hit me it wasn't just my line. The entire block was offline. Within minutes, the HOA Facebook page exploded. Parents complaining about their kids' tablets not connecting, teenagers losing online games, small businesses down. But right there in the middle of the chaos was a familiar name. Margaret Lane, our HOA president. Her post read, "This is what happens when people let ugly wires and orange flags ruin our community's appearance. The HOA board is discussing permanent removal of unsightly equipment." I blinked. Unsightly equipment? Those flags marked the new fiber line, the one installed just last month. I typed a response but stopped. Something told me I'd find better answers outside. Grabbing a flashlight, I followed the thin orange cable line that disappeared behind the cul-de-sac. The air smelled like fresh-cut grass and plastic. As I turned the corner, the sound of trimming shears snapped through the air. And right there, kneeling by a flower bed, was Margaret. Gloves on, garden hat tilted, and a pile of freshly cut orange wire beside her. I stopped a few feet away. "Morning, Margaret," I said, forcing calm. She smiled without looking up. "Hello, Derek." Finally taking care of those ugly cords. They ruined the symmetry of the lawn. I stared at the open trench. The fiber line was sliced clean. Not a nick, a deliberate cut. "Those aren't cords," I said slowly. "That's the main fiber for this entire block." She stood, brushing dirt off her gloves. Well, if they didn't want people to trim near them, they shouldn't have left them so visible. HOA landscaping rules are clear. For a second, I couldn't speak. She had no idea what she'd just done. Or worse, she didn't care. I pulled my phone, snapping photos of the trench, the shears, the timestamp. My pulse was racing. "You just cut through critical infrastructure," I said. She rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic. It's just internet. Just internet." I wanted to laugh and scream at the same time. That single line powered homes, businesses, even the police substation 2 blocks away. I backed away, trying to stay calm. "Margaret, do not touch anything else." "Oh, I'm done," she said proudly. "I fixed the problem." She smiled, satisfied, as I turned and dialed 911. 15 minutes later, 2 officers pulled up, one young, one older. The sergeant squinted at the flower bed. "So, someone cut your cable?" "Not a cable," I said, trying not to explode. "The fiber backbone. The same one that runs to your station." He frowned. "Our station?" I nodded. "Check your dispatch computers." He clicked his radio. Static. Then silence. The rookie's eyes widened. "That's impossible," the sergeant muttered. "We've got redundancy." "Not if your redundancy is piggybacked on this grid," I replied. Within seconds, his phone rang. He answered, stiffened, and shot me a look. Our systems just went down. Exactly, I said. You're blind. No data, no license checks, no dispatch connectivity. The sergeant sighed. You're saying this lady? He gestured toward Margaret, who was now pretending to water her roses. Did that? I nodded. Deliberately. He looked at her. Ma'am, we need to ask you some questions. She waved him off. I already told you it's just internet. You can all relax. I met the sergeant's eyes. You're looking at a federal offense. This isn't a prank. The rookie whispered. So what do we do? I smiled. Let me fix it. They followed me to the station's back room. Racks of outdated equipment humming half alive. You sure you know what you're doing? The sergeant asked. I plugged my laptop into the nearest console. I helped design this system 5 years ago. DHS backbone redundancy. Most cities never use it until now. The rookie leaned closer. You can actually reconnect the station? If the physical layer's intact, yes, I said, pulling out a small toolkit. It's called a COGDHS fallback link. Basically, the network equivalent of an emergency artery. The sergeant raised an eyebrow. And you just happen to have access? I smiled. Let's just say I used to work for someone who still trusts me. I began splicing temporary connections, cross-linking from the station's relay box to my portable node. Every move was muscle memory, precise, methodical. Time? The sergeant asked. For minutes, I said. If this works, you'll have your systems back before she finishes watering her roses. I hit enter. Nothing. My laptop screen glowed with a blinking cursor. 3 minutes left. The sergeant shifted nervously. It's not working. Not yet. I tapped faster, rerouting DNS, overriding failsafes, forcing manual authentication. Come on. Then, one by one, lights blinked on router switch terminal. Green, I said softly. The rookie gasped. Holy, it's back. The room filled with radio chatter as dispatch returned online. Officers cheered. The sergeant exhaled in disbelief. You actually did it. I nodded, checking the logs. Temporary link. Stable for now. But I'd get the utility team on that cut. Fast. He clapped my shoulder. You just saved us hours of chaos. Outside, Margaret was still fussing with her roses, completely unaware that half the city's police force now knew her name. By the time the fiber crew arrived, the police had pieced it together. The technician knelt by the trench and whistled. This was no accident. Clean slice. Pruning shears, probably. The sergeant crossed his arms. Guess who owns the shears? They approached Margaret, who was now arguing with a neighbor about property lines. Ma'am, the sergeant said, you're under investigation for tampering with communications infrastructure. She laughed. Investigation? For trimming weeds. The technician held up the severed fiber. These weeds carry your internet, your utilities, and emergency networks. Her smile faded. That's ridiculous. The sergeant read her rights while neighbors gathered, whispering. You can't arrest me, she snapped. I'm the HOA president. Exactly, I said quietly. You should have known better. As she was led to the cruiser, her garden hose still running, someone filmed it, and by evening, the video hit the HOA's page. President arrested for cutting federal fiber. Poetic justice had never looked so good. The following week was glorious. The HOA's group chat imploded. Half the board resigned. The rest begged for forgiveness. Internet technicians rebuilt the line with armored casing. They even added a private redundancy to the police station, courtesy of DHS funding. Margaret was charged with destruction of critical infrastructure. Turns out it carries a hefty fine and potential jail time. The neighborhood nicknamed me the Fiber Wizard. Not my choice, but I wasn't complaining. A month later, 2 federal agents stopped by. They weren't here to scold. They handed me a small silver coin. Department of Homeland Security. For civic enthusiasm, one said, smiling. I framed it next to my server rack. The lights hummed steady, green, alive. Margaret's house went up for sale soon after. The listing didn't mention the missing fiber line. As for me, I went back to work, quietly, peacefully. Because as long as my connection stays green, they can argue about mailbox colors and flamingo statues all they want.